It started with shouting. Not the kind that fills a room, but the kind that splits it apart. The front porch light flickered above me, throwing long shadows across the wet driveway. My mother's voice cracked first, then my brother's, sharp and cold. "You don't belong here anymore," he said. His words hung in the air like frost. I remember the faint hum of crickets behind the silence that followed, and how the night felt heavier than my suitcase. I had come home because I thought family meant forgiveness, but that night I learned it can mean conditions, inheritance, and the ugly math of money. They said Dad's will had been clear, everything to Michael and Lila, the golden children, because they stayed, because they carried the family name. I was the one who had left to chase something bigger, something called love. Apparently, that meant I'd forfeited my place long ago. My mother stood behind them, clutching her sweater, eyes damped but firm. "It's better this way," she whispered, as if convincing herself. My brother pointed to the driveway. "Get your things. You can't stay here tonight." The door closed before I could even ask why love counted less than loyalty. I stood there, cold air biting my skin, suitcase handle trembling in my palm. For a moment, I didn't cry. I couldn't. Shock is colder than sorrow. It freezes you before it breaks you. Rain started to fall, slow, hesitant drops that turned to a steady rhythm. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was him, my husband, Ethan. For a second, I thought maybe I wasn't completely alone. He said, "Where are you?" I told him, "Home," or I was. He went quiet, then said, "Just come by later, we'll talk." His voice felt distant, like someone rehearsing empathy. I didn't notice it then, but that pause between his words was the sound of something ending. When I reached our apartment, his car wasn't there. The rain had soaked me through. I remember walking up the stairwell, the smell of wet concrete, the flickering light on the second floor. The door was unlocked. Inside, laughter, soft, low, familiar. The kind you hear in memory, not in pain. Until I realized it wasn't mine. Through the crack in the bedroom door, I saw her. A woman with my blanket wrapped around her, his shirt half buttoned, his arm around her waist. My breath caught, but no sound came. I wanted to scream, but silence felt more fitting. Betrayal doesn't arrive with thunder. It slides in quietly, like a knife between ribs. He turned when I pushed the door open. "It's not what it looks like," he said, because that's what men say when it's exactly what it looks like. The woman scrambled for her purse, murmuring apologies that weren't for me. I stood there, soaked, shaking, staring at the two people who were supposed to be my world, one by blood, one by vow. "I lost my family tonight," I said softly, "but I didn't realize I'd already lost you." I left before he could answer. I didn't take anything, not even my keys. The elevator hummed like an empty throat as I rode down. Outside, the city lights blurred through tears and rain. I remember walking until my feet ached, until I didn't know what time it was. The night was so quiet that even my heartbeat felt too loud. That's when it hit me. I had nowhere to go, no one waiting. And for the first time, the silence didn't just surround me, it swallowed me. When dawn came, I was sitting at a bus stop with a single duffel bag. My phone had died hours ago. The world looked washed clean, but I wasn't. I was still covered in everything I couldn't say. I thought about who I used to be. A girl from a small town in Illinois who used to believe that love meant safety and family meant forever. I grew up chasing sunsets across open fields, believing in stories where the good stayed good and the bad got what they deserved. My father taught me to be kind. My mother taught me to endure. But no one taught me what to do when endurance turns into erasure. I married Ethan because he made life feel like motion. He laughed big, dreamed bigger, and told me I made him believe again. I never noticed he only believed when it benefited him. He liked the idea of a woman who needed him, not the one who might outgrow him. In those early weeks after everything fell apart, I slept on a friend's couch, then another. I told everyone I was figuring things out. The truth was, I was unlearning who I'd been. Days blurred, nights stretched. I'd lie awake listening to city sounds, sirens, footsteps, the hum of distant traffic, wondering if anyone ever really starts over, or if we just rearrange our ruins until they resemble something livable.
I got a job at a diner, the kind with chipped mugs and burnt coffee. I told customers to have a great day while forgetting what that even felt like. But grief has a strange rhythm. It doesn't announce recovery. One day, you stop checking your phone. Another, you laugh without guilt. You start to rebuild without realizing it. One night after closing, my coworker, Jamie, said, "You should apply for that design internship again, the one you turned down for your husband." Her words hit harder than she knew. That night, I found the old portfolio on my drive. Half-finished sketches, drafts, dreams I'd buried under compromise. I stared at them until dawn, then clicked send on the application. Weeks later, I got in. It wasn't glamorous, small firm, tight deadlines, but it was mine. I learned to draw again, not for approval, but for peace. The first time I saw my work displayed, my hands shook. I cried quietly in the bathroom, not from sadness, but from something pure. Relief. The kind that whispers, "You're still here." Years passed in quiet layers. My mother called once, said she hoped I was doing okay. I told her I was. I didn't mention the loneliness or the way I sometimes still dreamt of the house I wasn't allowed to call home. Forgiveness, I learned, doesn't need an audience. I moved to a new city, Portland, traded concrete noise for rain that felt softer. I opened a small studio, taught classes on weekends. People said I seemed strong. I smiled politely. Strength to me wasn't a crown. It was a scar that stopped bleeding. Every now and then I saw Ethan's name online. New job, new photos, same smile. Once he messaged me, "I hope you're happy now." I typed, "I am," and for the first time, it wasn't a performance. I never hit send. Some truths don't need witnesses. One evening, after a long day, I stopped by the coast. The sun was slipping below the horizon, painting the sky with tired gold. A little girl nearby was building a sandcastle, while her mother watched, smiling softly. The waves reached for the shore, again and again, never giving up, even as they broke each time. That's when I realized maybe that's what healing is. Returning again and again, even after everything breaks you. Sometimes I still think about that night. The porch light, the rain, the voices that pushed me out. But now it plays differently in my mind. I don't stand outside the door anymore. I see myself walking away, suitcase in hand, toward a life I didn't know yet. That moment wasn't exile. It was release. In the quiet of my apartment now, surrounded by sketches and canvases, I sometimes whisper to my younger self, "You were never unwanted. They just couldn't see your worth through their fear." The pain doesn't vanish. It transforms. It becomes the reason I paint, the reason I breathe slower, the reason I no longer chase validation in someone's apology. Years later, I got an invitation, a family reunion, same house, same names. For a moment, I thought about going to show them the woman they tried to erase, to prove something. But then I smiled, closed the email, and poured myself tea, because I had nothing left to prove. The piece I'd built didn't need their recognition. One evening at a local gallery, my work was displayed under soft lights. The painting was titled Inheritance, a stormy house, doors open, a woman walking into dawn. People asked if it was autobiographical. I just said, It's about freedom.
After the crowd left, I stood alone in that gallery, lights dimming around me, the faint echo of footsteps fading. I felt the kind of quiet that doesn't ache anymore, the kind that holds you. That's when I knew my revenge had never been about anger. It was about becoming someone their betrayal could never break again. If you were to ask me now what I learned, I'd tell you this. Sometimes the people who hurt you are the ones who teach you what you're capable of surviving. Sometimes rejection is just redirection, the universe closing one door so you can finally walk through your own. And maybe that's what truth really is. Not a confrontation, not a confession, just peace after the storm. The kind you earn alone when no one's watching and you finally realize you were never the broken one, because strength isn't loud. It's quiet, steady, and it walks away without turning back. And as I stood there watching the rain trace the glass outside, I thought, maybe I didn't lose a home or a husband that night. Maybe I just lost the version of myself that believed love required losing yourself first. The night they threw me out was the night I was set free.